Dr. Lena coming to you from Australia, coming to you from tomorrow. What more can you ask? Now, masses to cover. It's hard to know where to start, really. You just think it's safe to go back in the water, and then Sarah Palin announces she's going to run again. Ooh. Oh, hold on, I've got a fly on my screen. I'm having a Mike Pence moment. Go away, fly. We're 2 days into autumn here in Australia and it's freezing. It's ridiculous. Okay, absolutely ridiculous. But during the week, I'm sure most of you would have seen Madison Corthon came out saying he was shocked that people he'd looked up to growing up were taking drugs and having sex parties. He mentioned the O word and so on. Now, we know he doesn't hang out with Dems. So who's he talking about? GOP. So I just want to have a quick look at what's going ahead. Do you know what, intrepid viewers? Along with the stupid tax that would be filling the nation's coffers, I think there should also be a hypocrisy tax. And that's for all those evangelical pastors who are caught with their pants down, for these ghastly people that imprison disabled parishioners in their basements, the ones who are taking part in these events as well, you know, Harper Valley PTA. But a quick look at Madison Corthon and the parties. Now, a viewer wrote to me saying she was an intern. Hold on. Plane going overhead. Very loud. She was an intern back in the day in West Virginia, and she just wanted to say, you know what? It does happen a lot. So let's have a look at Madison Corthon. What he's talking about, will it go anywhere? You know. It starts with the fool. Oh my word, oh my word. Oh dear, Madison. Look. I shouldn't take pleasure in these cards. These are seriously irk cards, like seriously irky perky. But he kicks off. This is him and his naivety in the center of this. You know, I think he has led an extremely sheltered life, but he spoke about it and now he's out in the cold. He broke the code. Now, as it stands, he's only said anonymously, you know, he hasn't named names, but they'd be freaking out. So he's pushed himself out in the cold. He will be given the minimum, the absolute minimum, the crumbs of what the GOP would do for their people. He has blown this so severely. He better hold on to his money because he's not getting much more. They are not happy. This has gone on forever. Sorry. And the last card is a broken heart because he's such a naive fool that he didn't realize he was really breaking these time-honored codes. This has always been the way in every country. It's the conservatives who are anti-gay and anti-women and anti-everything and, you know, anti-sex before marriage, the pursed lips. They're the ones. They're the ones doing it all. The Hypocrite Award. Look. Now, Glenn Kirshner put out a video during the week, and a lot of you I know follow Glenn Kirshner because justice matters. It's a good slogan. Now, he seemed a bit more animated, a bit more upbeat. What was he so happy about? Well, he was happy because the word is, the DOJ is expanding the jury pool to hear about the fake electors. And we might think, oh, really? Out of all the stuff that's been revealed, they can only come up with that. But I can see why he's pleased. It's an expansion of something. But also, whoever authorized those fake electors, remember, I think there were 11 or 12 of them, and they actually forged signatures and forged seals. They actually fraudulently intervened in the democratic process. So I can see why it's so important symbolically. If they can nail these people and who authorized them, who came up with the idea, who authorized it, who was behind it, what were they told, what did they think they were doing? If they can find the answers to that, that's the guts in many ways. It's the real guts of the machinery around the botched election stuff. Right? It is important. So I'm going to read on that right now. So thank you, Glenn Kirshner, for the work that you do. I was never fond of him before all this, but now we're all at law school. He's one of our senior tutors. Yeah. So this case, the grand jury hearing about the fake elector officials. I mean, this is bad. This is really bad. It's just that so much else goes on. It was like, oh, yeah, right. It's bad. So let's see what's going to happen with this case. All right. So in the middle, Page of Swords, sometimes known as the spy in the camp. So I think someone who's very close to one of the people who did this. So that could be in terms of their personal life, you know, it could be the partner of. Don't forget, out of the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people arrested for January 6th invasion of the White House, 300 were handed in by wives and girlfriends and ex-wives and ex-girlfriends. So it might be someone close to one of them who knows something big and critical. I don't think it's one of them. I think it's someone near to them. Now, past attitudes in relation to this topic. So at the time, they were convinced they were just going ahead in their eyes with what was right, because past attitudes and past actions, right? They were convinced in the frenzy of that time that they were doing the right thing, or they were told they were doing the right thing, right? This is very direct, no nonsense energy. This is my USA card. Okay. So what's underneath the issue? Look, as always, money, but also power. But in this case, for those learning tarot, Ace of Pentacles can be fool's gold. So someone was paid to do this. I don't know so much the officials. I'm sort of getting an impression of a ladder. So I'm thinking someone paid people to authorize this, who then sent these people out who were just the lackeys to do it. But they should have been smart enough and actually loyal enough to their country to know this was suspicious and mad, but they weren't. So this is fool's gold. The money will reveal a lot. What was on top? The Yeti. Yeah. And his promise that he would bring the rainbows back to the GOP. You know, happy families. But this is always, this 10 of Cups is always my sort of theatrical happy families rather than real ones, because we were talking about hypocrisy. This is the heartland of hypocrisy. So this is why they were doing it and what they were doing. They were doing it for the Yeti, and they thought for, you know, this is what America needed and wanted. Where is it sitting now? Well, yes. So if you look at this card closely, the juggler is standing on one foot, and even that's sort of on his toes. He's on a boat and it's rocking. So we will see which way the boat rocks. So more than giving us an answer, it's sort of telling us the layout of the story. So we'll leave that there, I think, because we've got enough of other things to cover. Okay. So here. Oh, in other good news, a federal judge has said Florida's redistricting, not only the gerrymander, but also making it harder systematically for Black and Hispanic voters. You know, that's reducing the number of places you can go, reducing how you can send in your ballot and how it'll be counted, and all those things that impinge on people's basic, fundamental, God-given right to vote. So that's good news. And the legalization of marijuana. Oh, bless. Yeah. So more marijuana, less guns, I would suggest, would be in America's best interest. But that's just me as an old hippie. No, I was never a hippie, but you know what I mean. Okay, so let's move on here. I want to look, as we all know, the phone logs, 7 hours missing of the January 6 phone logs. Well, in the modern world, it's hard to get rid of anything. And it must be hard to get rid of these phone logs because Robert Costa and Bob Woodward have come out and said, we've got the logs. So if they can get them, why can't the January 6 committee get them? And I'm sure they will, but let's have a look. I mean, thanks to all the work the committee's done, we sort of know who was talking to who and blah, blah, but this is the actual day. So what's in the logs? What should we be looking out for in the logs? Are there any juicy new revelations in the logs? Anything juicy? The lowers. Ooh. Now I've only pulled 5 cards and 3 are major arcana. What does that mean, I hear you ask? Well, it means there is something big and important in them. We think that there can't be any more revelations, but apparently there is. Okay, so this is people talking together, assessing where they're at and what they can do next. With here, this 7 of Pentacles, followed by the 7 of Swords. So people talking, how can they get organized for the steal? It's ironic that the other side called it Stop the Steal, when in fact they were trying to steal it and still are. You know, like, they always get the best slogans. Why is that? The conservative right wing always have the best slogans of freedom and liberty and wonderfulness and stop the steal. And the other side doesn't. But that's what they were talking about. Temperance here. I think what we'll hear is someone who tried to reason with them. So this could be at some level, someone, you know, whether it's Ginny Thomas or Roger Stone or Giuliani or whatever, came up with some new outrageous suggestion. And this represents someone who tried to stop them. They will come out of this much better than they went in. It'll be someone I think we don't expect, who actually tried to be reasonable. This is the Temperance card, right? But to no avail, because it all went ahead, as we know. And judgment will rain down on their sorry asses. It's just how it is. So I think from having this card as the outcome card, major arcana, judgment, it's like finally some things will slot in that make it, in a way, even worse than we thought. I think we'll hear about someone worse than we thought, and someone who tried to save the day. I don't think it's Ivanka, even though I think she was genuinely on the day saying, Daddy, Daddy, get them to go home. You know, otherwise, how am I going to sell my handbags? You know, like, I don't think it was Ivanka, even though she played that role. I think this is someone else more political. Okay. All right. Now, in Russian news, things, look, it's horrendous. What is happening in Ukraine is horrendous. But you have to think what we are watching is, in fact, not the destruction of Ukraine. There'll be regions of the Ukraine like Mariupol that'll be talked about for years in terms of war crimes. Dreadful things are happening. But Ukraine will come through. This, we are seeing, I really see huge upheaval in Russia. Now, as we know, and we've all been following, things are not going marvelously for the Russian army. And just this week, yet another general was killed and another one took his own life. And the one who took his own life did so because he was already having trouble with his untrained troops who didn't know what they were doing and why. He went, apparently the story goes, he went to a warehouse to pick up 10 more tanks, and he found that only one was working. One of the 10. The rest were useless shells. And that was too much for him, because they're also afraid of their dear leader that, you know, they can't tell him and even request more stuff. So what am I asking? What's that about? Well, let's just... The other issue, of course, which I think is fascinating, is word is out now in many sources. One of the reasons their equipment is so bad is because several of the oligarchs had the huge contract, the equivalent of Halliburton in the first Gulf War and all of that, to supply all these things. And of course, being oligarchs, they pocketed the money. And so what has happened is you're left with, you know, a mere shadow of what they thought they possessed for military hardware because of the oligarchs. So let's have our dip into Putin's headspace. As one older Russian said during the week in commentary, even those Russians who believe state TV and they believe what Putin says, they are beginning to feel the sanctions really badly. And his comment was, the fridge speaks louder than the TV. So what he meant by that, it's when they can't get food in the shops that they'll begin to doubt him. So already you have the under 40s who know what's going on and who don't back it. You're only left with the old guard who sort of believe what they've always been told. So I'd like to ask this. How is Putin faring with older Russians? Are they starting to get it? What's happening for Putin? In the meantime, too, the last train has left Russia for Finland. This is Russians leaving, and they're supposed to be the aggressors in this war. You know, so we're going to have a good look here at Putin, his challenge, what's underlying all this, what's his thinking, where is it going, and the outcome. Okay. So we have here the Justice card. It's a very weird one in this 12 decks tarot. So Justice, the women in these cards are very interesting too. We've got another one coming up that's really juicy. Okay, so this is someone sternly at the lectern putting the case to the Russian people. You know, Ukraine is dealing with a Nazi leadership. We just have to go in, you know. The younger people behind are going, really? I don't think so. But this message is still being pushed across to the majority of older Russians. What's the challenge to that? This is the Sun card. The challenge to that is they're not seeing any of the benefits of being a victor in a war that was meant to be very quick and was meant to be righteous and even saving Ukrainians from these dreadful Nazis or whatever. So what is against them is the illumination of the sun. You can see the sun's rays coming in here, right? So think sun shining on this information. Underlying it, what is the problem? This guy is leaving. He's getting out of Dodge, right, on this boat, 4 of Cups. He doesn't want to have to leave, but he is. So I had just said the words, the last train out of Russia, right? These are the ones who want to leave, right? Some can, most can't. This is not good for Putin. This has not happened. It didn't happen when they went to war in Syria or Chechnya or Afghanistan. It's happening now because they're so embedded. Ukrainians and Russians are so embedded. Okay, what's behind it? The 7 of Cups, illusion, delusion. This is Putin. Forgive me, but I can't help it. This is Putin thinking everything's all right. I'll just put my czarist crown on and it'll be okay. It must be all right because I'm the head of this huge empire. Of course it's all right. And the guy in the bed going, oh, look, I wish I hadn't seen her in that harsh morning light. She looked much better last night after 18 beers. You know, it's like that. It's like that. Then we have the 4 of Pentacles, never fun. The energy over the issue. This is holding on to money. Well, that's if you have any, and the ruble is worth nothing. And this looks very Soviet, doesn't it? You know, this is people basically with nothing. Thanks, Putin. This is going to be hard. And if I look at his through line here, which I'll do in a moment, I'll explain it again to you. But the outcome is very interesting. The 9 of Wands, the chess game. He's not gone yet. As long as he can keep moving pieces on the board, he's not gone yet. So it's still a chess game. Not going to be there forever, let us say. Now let me talk about the through line for a moment. In the middle of bigger spreads, the line going through the middle. So you have, I'll take away the challenge card. You had justice right in the middle, people being told this is a just war, but they've ended up with nothing and would like to escape. So even those who don't want to actually escape, they want to escape the reality of this conflict. They would rather it hadn't have happened because life 2 months ago in St. Petersburg or Moscow or anywhere else was better than it is now. Right? So their lives are not improving. It's the opposite. Okay, so there's a really strong through line of that. Okay, so I've got time for one more. Oh, look, what I'll do is I'll look at Zelensky himself and his wife, Olena Zelenska. What an extraordinary couple. I have to eat my words. Long-term intrepid viewers will know I've always been down on celebrities going into the political space, you know. Lend your support outside to a good candidate, you know. So here he is, having made that extraordinary film. If you haven't seen it, track it down, where he played the part of a comedian who accidentally became president, and there you are. But he's been magnificent, and she has too. So let's have a look at the Zelenskys and their marriage and how they're holding up. Bless. How's that going? Oh, there's the wedding card. All right. So here they are. Someone's just going to walk past me. Don't worry about it. This is the wedding card, and I think they've got a very strong marriage. It's the four, very well-grounded marriage. The Hierophant, which is now limitations, restrictions, well, big time, a full-blown war, let alone that. So this is the pressure that they're under, external pressures on their marriage. But nonetheless, it has this really strong foundation. You have the King of Swords. I suspect this is an older man, either his father, if he's still alive, or her father, perhaps, or a senior legal person who Zelensky trusts a lot and who they both trust a lot to advise them on how to go forward virtually on a daily basis. To turn up in this reading in their marriage, it's someone they speak to virtually every day who has a very fine intellect and a very strong sense of justice. They're still in love, which is the cutest thing ever. And despite all this, they manage to reinforce to each other that I'm not a romantic person. I really am not. In fact, I'm a cynical old bag. But this is quite beautiful. This is the wedding, and this is now, they're still, even under this intense pressure, their love is flourishing. And justice, the outcome, the justice of the situation, having stepped up in history in this moment of time, it's a justice for the broader Ukraine and for them. I'm very optimistic for them that they are uniquely placed to be this power couple in this particular era of Ukraine's history. So that's very gorgeous on them. Many other marriages would be under massive strain, and I'm sure theirs is. Oh, dear old uncle. Oh, bless. Now, keep communicating, please. Today is Sunday in Australia, Saturday for most of you, and I'm leaving Wednesday. So I'll come and I'll do a little mini video just before I go. And don't panic or worry. I'm going to keep producing videos while I'm away. It'll just be like normal, except I'll have better backdrops, or maybe not. It could be a blank wall in a hotel, but we'll see. So look after yourselves, stay strong, be kind. Love you. Bye-bye.